Record. Hello, everyone. Welcome to the Mike Armstrong podcast show. And this afternoon, I'm joined by Olga Rodan, who's Dr. Olga Rodan, who is a fitness specialist from her own business that's recently started up called WoMB. And how are you doing this afternoon, Olga? You okay?
Yeah, hello. Well, hello everyone, and thank you, Mike, so much for inviting me to be in your podcast, and also to serve as a platform for other people starting their business. So I think what you do, it's a great help for everyone starting their little path into their businesses. So yeah, I'm okay. A little nervous, but yeah, excited as well to be here.
Don't worry about it. It's just a chat between friends, so no need to be nervous. But yes, as you said, I do like to help people, entrepreneurs who are starting out in business, and actually that's what a lot of my content on my podcast is. But in addition to that, I like to have the entrepreneur chats because one, it demonstrates to people how to network and how to build relationship and communication and that sort of thing. But two, it also showcases my contacts and their business to a wider audience than just me. And three, it's efficient because I like to follow up with people from networking anyway, but I also like to create podcast and YouTube content. And this way I get to do both at the same time. So we call that two birds with one stone. So that's a key skill of being an entrepreneur, is learning how to multitask and get multiple things done in the same amount of time, because then you have more time to do other things.
Yeah, and you save time. Yeah, of course.
Yes, brilliant. So one of the first places I usually like to start when I'm chatting with people, because I think it's great to showcase at the moment how people have adapted and changed as entrepreneurs during the current situation. So I always like to ask people how they've dealt with the lockdown and if they've done any particular pivoting in their business during that time. Now, before I get on to how you dealt with the lockdown, obviously I guess you haven't done too much pivoting in your business because it's new, and so therefore, you didn't have to pivot from one thing to another. But did you have to change any of the plan of how you were going to go about your business during the lockdown? So how's it been with you, and have you done anything with your business plan as an effect to lockdown, really?
Yeah, so well, the idea of women move beyond, that's the name of the business. Well, the acronym is WoMB. So the idea ages ago started as an online business for the empowerment of pregnant and postnatal women through exercise. But lately, just before lockdown started, that's when I was planning to start the business actually. So the idea was to do classes in a gym setting. It was just to do classes for postnatal women in a gym here in Swansea. And I was about to start I thought to start at the end of March. Everything was planned, everything was kind of going according to the plan I had. And then obviously COVID came in and we couldn't do any stuff out of our places. We had to lock down. So my first thought was, okay, I just don't do it. I don't start the business and that's it. But then I thought, okay, my first thought about it was to do it online. So why I don't just go back to the online perspective of it and start it anyways.
Okay,
so I kind of took advantage of the situation because obviously I had to be at home. So I think it was a good opportunity for me in that way. So at the end we the only kind of pivoting we did was that to start it online instead of in a personal way.
Yeah, well, that's so you have done a pivot, really. You did a pivot right up the starting line and went that direction instead of that one, if you like. And is it going well for you online? Have you started trading yet, or are you still working on the foundation of the business?
It's both of both.
So
so far I'm offering pregnant and postnatal classes, but that's in a quite small groups. And we are about to do the official launch of WoMB. That's going to be end of August, beginning of September, and we will launch the the main service of WoMB. So we are working on that right now. We are preparing all the marketing campaign, challenge, webinar, and how to sell it and how to get people on board.
Okay, that's good. So you're doing a bit of trading while still working out how to market the main part of the business going forward, if you like.
Yeah.
Yeah. Okay, that's good. And Olga, I hear an accent. So we met at a networking event recently, and I didn't get the chance to ask you where you was from originally. But I'm always interested because I like meeting people from around the world, and I like networking with people globally. So where's the accent from? Where are you from originally?
I'm from Spain.
Okay, I was going to guess
Originally,
Spanish.
yeah.
I think the surname, the Rio bit seems Spanish, but Olga to me seems more like German or Dutch or something as a name. But
yeah, it's a Russian name.
oh, it's Russian, is it?
Well, I don't have any Russian heritage
Oh.
or anything. Nothing.
Does your parents like the name?
I was named after my mother.
Okay.
But we don't know either why she had the name. So yeah, but I know it makes people really confused because when they see the name, they actually just think about like
they think you're going to be blonde and then you're brunette.
Yeah,
to
no,
me,
of course,
it seems more like a blonde
not...
name. I don't know why. It seems more like a German name or But
yeah, it's definitely
yeah,
it's definitely like an Eastern Europe name,
yeah,
of course.
Yeah.
But no, I'm a Spaniard. Well, you can notice my accent, and as you said, I'm all
I can tell now. I
brown.
can tell
Yeah.
I can tell as you speak more. Yeah. So what brought you to the UK from Spain? Was that studying or something else?
Well, it was like love and work, both.
Okay. The two things that get most people moving.
Yeah.
Yeah. Okay.
So everything started. My partner, he moved to Swansea for a couple of months to improve his English.
Yeah.
So I was quite in a bad situation in Spain there because I didn't find the job that I wanted. I had just finished my PhD, so I was looking for keep doing research because, well, I love studying. So yeah, I decided, okay, if he's going to be here, he didn't know when he was going to go back to Spain. So I was like, okay, I'm just going to try in Swansea. So I was just doing a little bit of research in Swansea University, and I found who is right now my boss.
Okay.
So I contacted him, we had a chat, and we decided to apply for funding to do a research project with pregnant women and exercise. And we got the funding, so I moved to Swansea to start the project.
Okay, good. And are you still doing that as well? So is this a side hustle, or is this now your full-time?
No, I'm still full-time in uni, in Swansea
Okay, so
Uni.
this is a side hustle.
Yeah, it's a side, but the project is finishing. It's in its last stages.
Okay, so you're putting this in place, ready to take over, ready to pivot again. Side step from one to the other. Yeah, there we are.
Yeah,
so you do lots of pivoting.
It's all about changing. I love changes, so I
Yeah.
don't mind to. I mean, obviously, it's scary to change because maybe it doesn't give you the stability that you want, but I quite like to take that challenges. I love changes.
Yeah, well, that's why you're looking to become an entrepreneur, Leslie, because I think entrepreneurs are one of the people who need to adapt and change the most. I think that's why I like being an entrepreneur, because markets change, conditions change, technology changes, everything changes, and you gotta sort of move with the times, or you get left behind. Really.
Yeah, you have to be creative. So
yeah,
and I love my head is always thinking. I'm always
well, you're a
thinking about
researcher,
different ways. Yeah,
you're a researcher, so you're always strategizing again the information and the data, and then doing something with that information.
Yeah,
definitely. Which again is a good part of entrepreneurialism. It's a big part of what I do as well. Is I do a lot of marketing, a lot of social media, and that, because it's all measurable, it's all trackable. You can do stuff, and then you can analyze it, and then you can do more of the stuff that works and less of the stuff that don't. Which is always my advice to people. People say to me, what's the marketing strategy, or what should it be for this business and that business and the other business? And ultimately, every business is different and has to have its own unique strategy. But the full strategy always is do a bit of everything, measure it all, do more of the stuff that works and less of the stuff that don't.
Of course, I completely agree with that. So you have, obviously, you have to have your plan first.
Yeah.
Set what kind of variables or what kind of things you want to measure. So you make sure you're measuring all of them from the beginning.
Yeah.
And it's always, from my perspective, it's always better to have more things measured than don't. So if you're thinking about measuring something, do it, because then you might regret you didn't measure it. you don't have any way to analyze it and then get the results and then decide how you're going to apply those results, if the results are telling you something that you didn't expect or are telling you something better as you expected. And obviously from there you just you plan again, you move on.
I got a quote I have, which is if you don't measure it, you can't manage it.
Yeah, of course.
Yeah. So I've always been into analysis. That's how I become a top salesperson. That's how I become a top manager. That's how I become a top SEO specialist. That's how I become a top networker, by measuring, other things, other people around you, competition, whatever it may be, measuring the KPIs, analyzing them, and working on how you can beat them.
Yeah, and it gives you information. Yeah, and we know information is power. So yeah.
Yeah, definitely. Like when I was in telesales, corporate telesales, before doing field sales, on average, my company, people used to have to make 80 phone calls to get a demonstration, which was like an online appointment. And I managed to get that down to 14 calls, so every 14 calls, and most of the ones you couldn't get through were no answers. So, but I knew if I could make 14 calls, that was my average, I'd get a demonstration. So, I knew the average in conversions was 3 to 1 for the company, but mine was about 1.5, 1.6 to 1. So I knew that if I made 14 calls, I'd be more or less having a sale. Yeah. But if I made something like 20 calls, I would be guaranteed a sale as an average, long term, over a process. So it's quite a good incentive to make calls. If you know you've got another sale every 20 calls, just bang out 20 calls, don't you?
Yeah, and it's statistics, and it motivates you. It's like, well, if this one is my 19th, that's when I'm gonna get it.
Yeah, but that's the good thing about it as well. If you know the number, and when you get close to the number, you're like, well, this is the time now. And actually, if you think it's going to happen, it's more likely to happen.
Yeah. Of course, that's the Pygmalion effect. Is it called, right?
I don't know. I
think it's
is that what it's called?
Pygmalion. Yeah, I think it's Pygmalion effect. That when you believe you can do something, you have more chances to get it.
Well, that's another one of my favorite quotes. You either can or you can't, but either way, you're right.
Yeah.
But I'm massive into psychology, but I've never really studied anything. So I don't have any formal psychology training. All my psychology training has been from analysing customers, analysing staff, analysing management, analysing reality TV. I'm a people watcher. I like watching people. I like working out why people do what they do.
Maybe you should go and study psychology.
Yeah, I probably should. My sister's a criminal psychologist, so she actually does it for a living in prisons. She actually deals with the sort of people I don't really want to be delving into their heads. I listen to a lot of psychology professionals, so not formal training like in uni or anything like that, but I've listened to a lot of psychology experts over the years, and a couple I'm listening to at the moment, Brian Tracy, the psychology of sales and the psychology of success, stuff like that. Jim Rohn, Les Brown, a lot of these are into psychology. Dr. John DeMartini. Yeah. They're all in the part of the brain and the part of life I like to explore, which is the one about personal improvement, personal development, self-improvement, success. Doing things over, pushing yourself beyond your limits, in a positive way. Whereas my sister studies all the people I don't want to know why they do the things they do. I'm just glad I'm not, like that, and I haven't got to mix with them. But I think there must be a bit of amateur, a bit of psychology, whatever that
in your family,
the family, like it runs in the genes. I think it might be emotional intelligence and empathy.
Yeah.
Because my mum has never been employed in that area at all, but she's very good at like getting what she wants.
Yeah. I think the same about, well, especially about my mother. She works in a mental health hospital back in Spain,
Yeah,
and well, yeah, the same. That she doesn't have any background in psychology, but her emotional intelligence is huge. Like
yeah, yeah, yeah.
she completely knows the needs of every woman that she works with, because it's a hospital only for women with mental health issues,
Yeah.
and it's amazing the way she deals with them. So
Yeah,
yeah,
well,
I
it's
think a
definitely
little bit the same as you. Like you have the kind of intuition sometimes, and
yeah.
you don't know where it's coming from.
I think that empathy and emotional intelligence and that type of stuff is something which is genetically in people a bit to be more like that. But I think also as well, if it's like most things, like a muscle or whatever, the more you work it, the better it gets as well. And so I think if there's an interest in that subject matter, if you're interested in people, and then you explore, like I would say I've been an amateur psychologist, or somebody who studies the brain and whatever, for probably most of my life, since I've been involved in sales, at least, which has been like, I started entrepreneurialism at 11 and actually employed sales at 15,
Wow.
so like, to me, I'm into results, and results have always been about analyzing people and how can I work with people to get my results up.
Just
Yeah.
knowing how they think, like,
Yeah,
yeah.
yeah. So how they think, why they do what they do, what's holding them back, etc., etc. And then you start running teams, and you're interested in the same thing. What's making that person tick, and why is this one motivated and that one's not? And when you start asking questions, you can start looking for answers.
Yeah, yeah. And
And
well,
that's go on,
sorry. Oh
go on.
yeah, so I was about to say, like, it's really interesting when you work with people. Or at least for me, it's quite fulfilling.
Yeah. I think that's why I like marketing as well, because marketing's about, like, most businesses get marketing wrong, and they put themselves in their own shoes speaking to the customer, whereas the best way to market is to put yourself in the customer's shoes and find out what you're looking for. So what does
Yeah.
the customer want from the communication, rather than what are you trying to get from the customer?
Yeah, yeah, because I think maybe that's the right idea, that in order to do a good marketing, you have to create a need of your client, which is the other way around. Like you
Yeah.
have to be able to cover the needs of your client, not to create needs for your clients. Don't know if you got me.
Yeah, I got you. Yeah, exactly. So well, you've got to be able to generate, work with the wants or the needs of the client, and just demonstrate that you can provide um, the want or the need better than anyone else.
Yeah.
If you can demonstrate that you can fulfill that need better than anyone else can, then you're the obvious choice. That to me is what sales and marketing is all about. It's about taking away the choice, becoming the obvious choice.
Wow, that's a really good one. Yeah.
Yeah. So that would be my advice. So many people compete with other people. Don't compete with other people. Dominate them. Dominate your space. Be the obvious choice.
Yeah.
Yeah. So what a lot of people do with their pricing, and I'm giving you some of this advice because I know you happen to be new in business. Yeah.
Yeah, so
So
I'm taking advantage of as well. Like it's like
yeah.
a
So take advantage of the information. I'm happily, gladly give
yeah.
it to you. But so many
Thank you.
people look at the other people providing the service and go, okay, well, that's what they're providing this and they're charging this. I'll be around the same. Don't be around the same. Offer so much
Be
more for such a different price.
Yeah, it's just be better.
Yeah, just be
Because
better. Just be.
yeah, you know what they're doing. Do you know how to make it better?
Yeah,
So
so a lot of people don't do that. They don't market research. But if you actually market research, who are the other players in the marketplace? What are they offering? What can I offer that is just clearly way better?
yeah, how I'm making myself different from
Yeah,
them.
yeah.
Yeah,
Differentiate is important in sales and marketing. So,
yeah,
so for example, everyone else is doing, so like with web design, for example, most people will charge £1,000 upfront, and then they'll charge like £12 a month hosting. I charge £333 £333 upfront for a 5-pager, or £533 for a 10-pager. But I charge £33 a month for hosting and unlimited support. Yeah. So basically, I'm charging the same amount of money over a long period of time, but they're paying less up front and more on the monthly.
Yeah.
Yeah. So over time, they pay the same amount of money, but I did mine in a different way than everyone else does because everyone else does it one way. So I go a different way.
Yeah.
Yeah. Plus
Yeah.
also, the £12 that other people charge is just for hosting. I charge £33 a month, but they get security, unlimited emails, unlimited updates to the site's content,
Yeah.
and
If
lots
they
of other
get,
things. So I'm offering a package of services that other people don't offer, or you have to pay extra for.
yeah, if you offer like a whole
Yeah,
support
yeah.
service, of course that's always better because you're gonna need it.
Yeah, exactly. So it's added value, if you like. So this is
Yeah.
why I say, so look at what the competitor's doing, do something different. You know, don't be a choice between A, B, and C. Be a choice between, do I want it that way or this way? And if you come up with a better way, then hopefully you'll get the answers coming to you as yes more often than not, because your way is a better way. So you've just
Yeah.
packaged it a different way, or you sold it a bit like Netflix, for example. Netflix come out and they charged a small monthly fee. Yeah, other TV channels were charging either a large monthly fee or they were free but put adverts in the place, you know. And then
Yeah.
Netflix was like, you know, we'll be streaming, not just scheduled TV. Yeah, so basically they
It's
just
like you
offered this.
choose. Yeah.
They offered a completely different thing. Yeah,
Yeah,
so that
and they do it really well.
it wasn't a choice between, do I have ITV, do I have BBC, do I have Netflix? It was like, oh, I can have ITV and BBC, but I can also have Netflix too, because they're offering us something different.
Yeah, yeah, and that's one of the things I realized I had to do with WoMB, of course,
Yeah,
because there's loads and loads of businesses about exercise for pregnant and postnatal women. And well, I know my value because I know well, I have my bachelor in sports science, I have my PhD in sports science, I'm still researching, I work for Swansea University, so I know my value as a
yeah.
person, but people don't know me.
No.
And that's the thing. And
No, but that's where marketing comes in. That's how they get to
yeah,
know you. That's how you can tell your story.
yeah. And when I was thinking, and that's something I have done within my research, because in my research we offer a exercise program for pregnant women, but alongside the program we offer them we were, because it's finished right now, we were offering them talks from different specialists.
Yeah,
So we had a midwife coming to talk to them, a physiotherapist, a psychologist, specialist in childhood development. So they had those talks spread
yeah,
all around the pregnancy. So when I was thinking about WoMB and thinking about how can I make my difference with it, I don't know why I didn't realize I had been doing that before, because I was doing my research.
yeah,
So
yeah,
at some point it was like, I just have to do the same, because normally what people offer, it's only exercise.
yeah.
And
Yeah, so
if
you're
you
offering
work in, yeah,
a more
yeah,
holistic total
actually,
package
yeah,
approach.
of course, yeah, because when you work with people, you realize that we are a person as a whole, and we have too many different things within us.
Yeah,
It's not just I'm going to take care of your physical activity and your
yeah. They don't stand
physical
alone. It doesn't
physical
stand
health.
alone.
Yes, of course.
The fitness stands with nutrition. You know, it stands with mental health. It
Yeah, of
stands
course.
with, you know, all of these things are connected together. And if you're going to tackle somebody properly, you're going to tackle one area and the other area and the
Yeah,
connected areas and so on.
yeah. So that's why what we're gonna offer in our new service, to
Yeah,
offer all those things. So they're gonna have a midwife, they're gonna have a nutritionist, they're gonna have a sexologist, because that's something people don't like to talk about that. But it's
yeah,
something really, really important for a couple when they get pregnant, because so many things are gonna change within the couple, and it might affect their relationship or not. But something people need to be aware of when they get pregnant. And that's something that people really don't think about sometimes. Like,
yeah,
how are you gonna do with your partner when the baby comes in?
yeah.
How are you gonna deal with all the stress and all the different situations that a baby
Yeah.
brings with them?
But you're
So,
also, so you're at the front of a line, what I call a funnel. Yeah. You're at the front of a funnel, right? Because you're dealing with a woman when she's pregnant. From there, then you got postnatal services, etc., and then you got child services, etc. Yeah. So in addition to what you're doing right now, if you partner up with people in networking that are further down the line in the funnel, Yeah. So
Yeah.
you can enhance some of those services into your service, or you can lead refer, if you like. You can pass your clients on once you've dealt with them, and once they're having their baby, and you finished maybe doing postnatal services, you then push them towards a colleague or an associate who maybe does, a parent and children fitness, or
Yeah.
or holistic work and stuff. So when you're at the front of the queue, you become quite valuable.
Yeah, well,
Yeah,
I didn't realize about that. Well, thank you.
yeah. Because obviously the front of the queue, you're at the front of the queue, if you like, from people going from being single life, adult sole responsibility to parents. Yeah, it's that
Yeah.
big transitional moment in a lot of people's lives. And so
Yeah.
that means from that point onwards of pregnancy and in that bit, from then, what people need is vastly different going forward to what they needed beforehand. So they're
Yeah,
in
of course, it's because it's a
yeah,
completely different situation.
it's a different life, it's a different
Yeah.
situation, and you're at the front of that, which is always a good place to be, because there's always people further down the line who, so you can partner up with people and say, well, I'm doing, pregnancy fitness, etc., and then I'm looking for somebody who's going to do, baby nutrition, baby health and fitness, mum and toddler classes, whatever, but
Yeah.
but but that would be, that's always a good thing, because the more people you can leverage your value in your position to, the more people who are interested in dealing with you, because you're at the front of the queue and not further at the back, so that people want to partner with you. The more value you've got, the more again, then you can say, well, listen, I'm at the front of the queue, I'll pass people on to you, but maybe you need to pass people to me anyway to get them at the front of the queue first. So you need to look
Yeah.
out for people, and also maybe there's a revenue share or something out of your service, because I'm getting them first. So I'm paying my marketing cost. You don't need to pay your marketing cost, because once we've got them in the funnel, they just filter through to you next,
Yeah, and yeah, that's a good way, because well, it's also good for the clients. Like they might get a little discount or something.
Yes,
Because
exactly.
obviously
It
the
costs
service.
less because
Yeah.
they're saving money on the customer acquisition, so they might charge
Yeah.
less. So therefore, you can negotiate with people a bit further down. Actually, I'll send people your way, give them a discount though, and then that's value that you're offering on top of the value you're already offering. So that's another differentiator between you and your competition then.
Yeah. Thank you really much for that advice.
Yeah, no worries, no worries. But yeah, that's how, people don't always think about the big picture of business. They just do it. But, I was part of a fast growth business that grew to 25 million turnover from nothing in 10
Wow.
years. And most businesses probably don't get to that sort of level till 20, 30, 40 years. If they get to that level, the vast majority of businesses never actually get anywhere near that level. So once you
Yeah. Well,
see a
that's huge.
business and what is possible in a short period of time, it helps you to think much bigger, you
Yeah.
know. So I always try and say, think about, what the business is going to be like in the future, and then plan the journey to that future.
Yeah. Yeah. Well, because I'm in kind of in a online business school, and obviously the first step is that is
Yeah,
to set your objectives and your
yeah,
aims, and which is your biggest dream with your
yeah.
business, and
But
from that you start
sometimes,
planning.
yeah, but sometimes you don't have the vision or the perspective to see as big as where the business can go as well. So sometimes you've got to get advice off people who maybe could think bigger, or you need to have those conversations about where you're looking to go with somebody who knows where things can go, so that you
Yeah.
can sometimes get the vision reset. Because some people's idea of a big business is, turn it over 100 grand. They might have succeeded there. That might be as far as they can see. But once they get to 100 grand, if they still got plenty of time and energy left, they might be like, okay, what's next?
That's-
Actually, at that point, lots of people hit a ceiling. Yeah,
yeah. Wow. Yeah.
yeah,
Yeah. And obviously it's.
and they don't know how to change. Whereas actually, if they seen that ceiling was coming at the beginning, they might have been able to do what they do, but also work on how they overcome that ceiling for 10 years. And then in 10 years' time, they're not hit by that ceiling because they already invested in another strategy, which took them beyond because they had the plan and the foresight of seeing that down the line.
Yeah, I completely agree. And obviously, having people with the expertise, because obviously when you're, as you said, like when you're starting, you might not see the bigger picture. You might not see how far you can go. And obviously having something, for example, like you with that expertise, it's always a great help.
Yeah. It's like with retail, a lot of people do retail, and then further down the line, they decide actually, because they're buying in larger quantities, they can get stuff cheaper. So then they decide to do wholesale. But actually, if you start retail with the mindset, oh, actually, I'm going to do wholesale at some point, then you can work towards, okay, you can speak to your suppliers and go, okay, what's the number I need to do to get that price down? And then you're working towards that number rather than just selling until you reach the number. Yeah. If you're working towards that number, then not only, you could start, for example, setting up a section on your website for wholesale as well as retail, or set up another wholesale site. So in 10 years down the line, when you're ready for wholesale, you hit that number, your domain is already 10 years experience rather than you developing a new domain. So you're 10 years more advanced in the search engines.
Well, yeah.
Yeah. So you've got a 10-year head start by planning it properly and thinking properly, rather than just working your way out along the way. And realizing, oh, sugar, I wish I'd done that 10 years ago.
Yeah, you cannot take that time back.
Yes, exactly.
And of course, planning, of course. And I think every person I talk about that, about starting your business and setting up your business or your startup, the first thing they say is always plan it. Yeah. Always have a good plan.
Yeah, definitely. And plans can change. It's not rigid.
It must be flexible, because obviously things might change. Or for example, right now, like COVID came, no one was prepared for that, and obviously you need to have your alternatives.
Yeah, and you might decide over time that you actually decide to open up to another type of fitness, and not just pregnant women, but something else. Things change. Sometimes an opportunity comes your way that you weren't expected, and you make a decision on it. It wasn't part of the plan, but it's come your way. Somebody contacts you and says, oh, we're a load of old age pensioners, but we want fitness. Here's a contract. Do it for us. And you're like, yeah, let's do it then. Why not? And then all of a sudden, why not? Then all of a sudden you become a fitness business and not just a pregnant women's fitness business, because then you're covering different niches, So you never know. The best plans can all be changed very quickly, just as COVID proved,
Yeah, we just need to take it as an opportunity.
Yeah, definitely. And the key is as well, with marketing, exactly, because that's an area that most businesses, because you're not British, you're Spanish, but I guess probably Spanish people are quite the same, because it's quite a Catholic country, isn't it, Spain?
Yeah, it is.
So probably the same as Brits. We're quite polite sometimes. They don't want to upset people, and they don't want to overstep the mark. So by not wanting to overstep the mark, people never actually ever reach the mark.
Yeah, we're quite
like reserved, laid back. That's usually a Catholic type environment. It's like
and
that,
pleasing,
I was brought up Catholic, so I know.
Yeah, but, me too.
Yeah, so I know what that's like. And sometimes, because you don't want to overstretch the mark, you stay way below the mark. And with marketing is about reaching the mark, or sometimes being over the mark is better than being way under it.
Yeah, it's like be big but not too big.
Yeah, but that's it. Sometimes it's like, oh, I can't be that big. Why should I can't tell people that much. There can't be that much going on in my business. It's not all about me, etc. But marketing doesn't work like that.
Because in some sort of way, it's like, oh, you're looking too pretentious. It's like, well, or not. I know I'm good. I'm good at this. I know what can I offer. So why I shouldn't be doing that?
Yeah.
Why
So
I should be stopping myself?
Reserved. They're reserved, and they don't really go at it as much as they should do. So my advice to most businesses is always do 10 times more marketing than you think you need to.
Yeah.
Yeah. Because growing a business, growing a brand, growing your own reputation, there's a lot of people out there with a lot of noise, and there's until you can actually get over and above a lot of that noise, you're just in amongst the noise.
Yeah. And obviously right now I think even every year it's been harder because obviously, well, at least I'm talking about the
Yeah,
online
yeah, yeah,
businesses. That obviously, right now there's loads and loads and loads, and everyone is obviously taking advantage of the situation because we have to be at home. So the best thing you can do is do your business online.
yeah,
So yeah, to find the ways to as you say, like to be unique
yeah.
and to be the one that is being heard and not all
Yeah, it's
not
like,
within that noise. Yeah, it's quite hard.
have you been in the Millennium Stadium?
No, not yet.
Okay. Have you been in the one in Swansea, the vet? Or is it the vet? No, St Helen. Oh, I can't remember what they call it now.
I've been. Oh yeah, no, I've been in the Liberty. Yeah,
The Liberty, that's what they call it.
yeah,
Yeah, the Liberty. So if you're in the Liberty Stadium, right? I always like to use the Millennium Stadium because there's 70,000 people. I think 80,000 people. But in the Liberty, there'd be 30,000 people. Like, yeah. If you get up on your seat in the Liberty Stadium and your friend is somewhere in the stadium, and you put your hand up and you wave and you say, "Come and here I am, here I am." Your friend won't see you. Yeah.
yeah,
But if 10 of you get up, yeah, and you all do a maximum wave or something, you got more chance of seeing you. Yeah.
yeah,
If 100 of you get up and you start singing and chanting and you all got the same color top on, he'll see you. Everyone will see
yeah,
you. Yeah. It's just about how much noise do you want, how are you going to be seen? Well, you can't be seen being the one man putting your hand up and waving. You've got to create more noise than that somehow. You've got to create more energy than that. Yeah. And that's what I try and explain to people. That's what marketing, is. And so many people are out there shouting, going, "I'm here, I'm here,"
yeah,
and just not
yeah.
being
That's a
seen
really
by anyone.
yeah, that's a really really good analogy. I think it explains really well what we should be doing.
Yeah.
Of course.
And that's one of the biggest things that I find most businesses, British businesses, especially reserved people, they're too reserved, So I think that's why America really works well as a
Mm,
commercialization thing, because Americans are much more loud and brash and in your face. And that's why, like,
yeah,
most of the big companies, most of the big global companies are American.
yeah, and well, and
Uh,
you can really see the difference. Like, um, they're not afraid.
no, no, like Coca-Cola comes on every year at Christmas time with his fans and his lights and stuff and saying the holidays are coming. They're not saying we're ashamed of Coke or maybe we're playing this too much. They're saying, listen, without Coke, there's no holiday.
Yeah,
Yeah, it's like we own the holidays. Yeah, they're not apologizing. They're going, "Do you know what? Our van might have too many lights on it. You know,
yeah,
we're playing the music too loud. We don't want to be doing. They're not like that at all. So I think that is why. If you have a look at most of, I'm massively into personal development, and I listen to a lot of top speakers from around the world. Most of them, I say around the world, they're all American.
yeah. Yeah, and I think because it also I mean, when you're in the front line and when you're like in the top of your field, to say in that way, you have to take responsibility of that as well. So you have to be responsible of all the actions you're doing and what kind of consequences that it's having in people's life, in your life as well. And
Yeah,
I think sometimes people are afraid to take that responsibility.
yeah,
Like, no, and it's better. I do my business, but I do it small, so I don't.
yeah,
I can
yeah.
manage it.
A lot of
Not like
people are
completely.
afraid to put themselves above the parapet and be there to be shot down, if you like. Yeah.
Yeah,
Yeah. But what I always say is if you're in the right business and you're doing the right thing, you shouldn't be worried about getting shot down because you should believe in what you're doing. And therefore it doesn't really matter what anyone else thinks. As long as you know what you're doing is right and it's helping people, I don't give a monkey's what anyone else says.
yeah.
Okay, I'm gonna put myself above the parapet because I'm there to be shot. Shoot at me. I don't care. You know what I
I'm not
mean?
gonna fall.
Yeah,
Yeah,
exactly. I don't care. I got a bulletproof vest on and a helmet. Shoot at me. I don't care. You know what I mean? And I
yeah,
think so. I'm trying to become a global speaker myself, and I tell people all the time because I put myself above the parapet and saying, "Listen, this is what I'm going to do." Yeah, but I'm much more American in my thinking and my thought process than British, I would say. Even though
yeah,
I'm British, I'm Welsh. I'm much more likely to make it happen because I believe it can happen, and I'm gonna keep making the noise for it to happen. So, like, my podcast, for example, I do 10 episodes a day. Most people do
Yeah,
one a week.
I was checking your, because I think first time I saw you in the networking in Introbiz, I was looking for your podcast and I was listening to you and was like, oh my god, like he posted like 10
Yeah,
10
no,
or 11 so I was conscious like, wow, there's so many podcasts on the same day. It's like, how does he do it?
yeah. Well, see, when I first created my podcast, I called it Mike Armstrong's Weekly Podcast, and then I thought, I can't wait till next. I recorded. I can't wait until another week to record. So then I changed it to daily podcast, but I quickly got into the habit of doing 3 a day. Yeah, and then
Yeah.
recently I was listening to a book, an audio book. I've listened to 2, which inspired me to go bigger. One is The Magic of Thinking Big, and I listened to Grant Cardone's 10X again. And I love Grant Cardone because he believes in 10X, and I've actually already 20X the sales team. So,
Wow.
so I already know it's possible. And most people think 10X, grow something by 10 times the size, is impossible. I know it's possible because I've done it. I did it in an 8-year period, 20 times growth. So to me, I know thinking big works, and being big and thinking big is possible, So then I was listening to the book one day and I thought, you know what? I'm going to 10X my podcasting. I thought, well, originally I was only going to do once a week, yeah. And then I said I'm going to do once a day. I ended up doing 3 times a day, but I didn't say that to myself. I just said I was going to do once a day. That was what I committed to. I thought, and now I'm going to commit to 10 a day, which is 10X, like, So I thought, actually, yeah, I can do that. I don't do 10 every day. I did 10 yesterday. I did 8 the day before. But my target's 10. And some days I try and catch up from what I've lost before as well. So I'll try and do a 14 or something on the weekend. But,
Wow.
yeah, so I'll just try and, because I do about 3, 4, 5 dual episodes, which are 45 minutes. But when I do my own episodes on my own, they're between 2 and 10, 15. So I can do more on a weekend, Saturday and Sunday, because I don't have much duals. I do have the odd one, but most people don't want to do Zooms on a Saturday or Sunday. I would do them all Saturday or Sunday. I got one this Saturday at 10 o'clock. But I'm mostly doing just my own episodes on the Saturday, Sunday. So therefore, it's easier for me to do 14, 15, 16, because they're not 45 minutes a time. They're only 5 minutes or 10 minutes,
ones.
But however long they are, at the moment I'm doing the A to Z of, which is the A to Z of networking, the A to Z of marketing, the A to Z of sales, the A to Z of social media, and the A to Z of entrepreneurship. And I'm doing 5 most days. So I'll do the A of networking, marketing, sales, whatever. And then the next day I'll do the B of, and then I'll do the C of, and then I'll do the D of. Yeah. So and then however long they are, because depending on whatever the letter I associate with. So like, for example, the A of networking might be alliances or something, like, So then I will talk about alliances, and I'll talk about whatever I've got in me on that subject matter, and then I'll stop talking when I've run out, like, So that's why it could be anything from 2 minutes to 10 minutes, because that's usually how much I've got in me about that subject, like,
Yeah, and that's really good as well, because you're offering like kind of short pills of knowledge, and of course they can help loads of people.
Yeah, well, that's it. And also then what I do then, once I've finished with all, so I've actually done the A to I of, I think, and I'm going to do the J to R, I think. I worked it out as 9, 9, 9, 9, and 8, I think, for 26 letters in the alphabet. But 9, 9, 9 would be 18 plus the 8. Yeah, 9, 9, and 8. So that's 3 equal parts. So I've done the A to I of, and I'll do the J to R of, and then I'll do the S to Z of. And then once I've done the whole series, basically you can put all of the episodes into a compilation episode. Yeah, so I'll do the whole A to Z of marketing then. So I'm always about, with marketing, repurposing content and reusing it in different ways. So I've used them all individually as one episode, but then I've put them together as, if you like, 1/3 episodes, and then at some point you'll be able to have the whole episode. Yeah.
Yeah, that's really good. And obviously, as you said, like reusing the content that you already have, because you've invested.
Yeah, you've invested your time in it.
Your time, yeah, of course.
So you want to get, the more you can repurpose it, reuse it in different ways, the more leverage you get, the more bang for your buck, the more benefit you get for the time invested.
Yeah, yeah, of course. And obviously the content you created like a few months ago, maybe not the people that are following you right now saw that content. So obviously putting it again up front,
Yes.
it's gonna make you more visible. Yeah.
Yeah. Plus also, like I market all of that content on social media then as well. So at the moment I've marketed every episode as the individual episode. But in the future, I'll be marketing it as down the whole A to Z of series. I'll be marketing it as, free networking training, free marketing training. You can remarket it as lots of different things because you can keep repurposing it and remarketing it, reusing it and posting it in different places. And so that's the strategy. That's always what I try and get people to do, is create lots of good content, spend time doing it, but then work out how they can save that time back, if you like, because they've invested their time. And you don't have to invest the time and keep creating more. Some people just keep creating content. And you're like, well, why don't we just use some of the same content? Even if ITV are going to repurpose their content, because ITV will bring out a brand new series, then they'll stick it on the stream to download for people who missed the series, and they'll stick it on ITV2, and it goes to ITV4, and it comes back out every bank holiday, and then and then they'll put it in BritBox, and then they'll sell it to the Americans, So what they're doing is they're leveraging that piece of content in so many different ways, getting it to work for itself and earn its living, if you like, earn its keep.
Yeah. And of course that's a really, really good strategy, especially as I said, like, because you invested really good time. And if you do it, as you said, like, if you do it in a really good way, in a conscious way, and you have like high valuable content, it's a shame not to keep sharing it.
Yeah, exactly. And that's why, again, when you create content, if you create content like, Christmas 2020 wish list, then that's going to end at some point. Yeah. And then it's not evergreen, it's dead because you put a date on it. Whereas if you say, the A to Z of, for example, the A to Z of never changes. It doesn't expire by date. The letters are still relevant, the information is still the same. So what I always say to people, they should blog on their website, and they should ideally post a lot on social, and if they can do podcasts, YouTubes, all those sort of places as well. And I tell people that if they do the A to Z of their industry, that should always give, if you did the A to Z of pregnancy, or the A to Z of, being fit, or health and well-being whilst pregnant, you can pretty much think of something to do with every letter of the alphabet. If you think that way, if you go vertical, you can always think about a subject matter that you want to talk about. And if you've got a couple of difficult letters and you can't think of anything, I use thesaurus, I use positive words beginning with W or whatever. So there's strategies that you can do if you're stuck with an X or whatever. But with X, you can just do extra. So extra relationship building, or extra, so you could be clever like that. With Y, you can always use your, so your training or your education or whatever, so you can use other letters within. So I got loads of little clever little strategies which just mean that you can always get something done.
And that's always can serve you as a gift for your clients or for your customers, like, well, take this, I prepared this long time ago. It's like a little package, that they receive for free.
Yeah, definitely. And it's like with Q, I always quality, some quality information or whatever. Yeah, you just add another word in it.
But at least, at least in English, you don't have the ñ as we have in Spanish, because that would be a hard one as well.
Oh, is it? Yeah. I think. What's the? Yeah, Z's probably the hardest.
Well, yeah.
Z is the hardest because there's not many words beginning with Z, and there's not a good, like a your or a quality. There's not a good word that you can stick another word with, So that's usually the harder. I kind of sleep. I use quite a lot with Z for different things. Sleep.
Oh yeah.
Because sleep is good in everything. Sleep is part of. I've got a 5-step happiness formula. Yeah, which is called SMART. Smart Happiness Formula.
Mm.
And it stands for sleep, meditation, ability to perform, random acts of kindness, and targets. Yeah. Now, ability to perform is not a great word, but it covers three things in one. It covers
Yeah.
it covers exercise, nutrition, and hydration, which to me all keep you in the ability to perform. Yeah.
Yeah. Yeah. Of course. Yeah.
And I had to use them as that because I wanted it to be smart, because the S, the M, the R, and the T were there, or I had S, M, R, and G, but I had to come up with a puzzle, and smart was the best word. So so it's a 5-step plan, but one of the steps covers three things.
That's
Yeah.
really good.
And that's how you got to be. I'm a puzzle solver, if you like, and I sit there with the letters and the numbers, and I had to make an acronym. That was my thing when I come
Yeah,
up with it.
that's always about being creative. Obviously, to come up with those kind of things, you have to kind of squeeze your brain and
Yeah.
think in different ways.
I had a client who was called 123 Divorce. They launched a couple of years ago at Intrabiz Expo, and they wanted their divorces to be as easy as 123 and as quick as no as quick as 123 and as easy as ABC. And they wanted 3 words to sum up the A, the B, and the C. And they had something like I can't remember what it was now. It was a long time ago. They had a word for A anyway. They had a word for C, and they couldn't have one for B. I think it was affordable, convenient, yeah, and they needed a B. So it was
Yeah.
affordable and convenient, but they couldn't. And they were going to print the following day. I was over there for tea because I was working with them a lot. They invited me over for tea, and I was proofreading some of their content and marketing stuff, because some of this stuff was going to print the next day, and they couldn't have a B. So I went. They asked me if I'd go up and work on it. They had a office upstairs, and they had all this information on, and would I be able to help them? And I spent from about 7 o'clock in the evening to about 2 o'clock in the morning, yeah, working on a B. And I managed to get a B in the end, and they didn't particularly like it at the start. Over time, I sold it to them and how to position it, and they used it in the end. And then when it actually all went to print, they were over the moon with the B. The B was beneficial, which
Oh
is a
wow.
word on
Yeah.
its own, doesn't really mean a lot, yeah? Beneficial, it's not a strong word. They had like affordable, convenient, and beneficial wasn't, because it was divorces.
Yeah,
Actually,
you don't think, yeah.
what we told the story of is that it was online and cost effective, which is affordable. They were very value driven, so it was beneficial for everyone to use an online company rather than go through the courts or whatever. Yeah.
Yeah, and to be like face to face. Yeah.
And then it was convenient, because it's online and that. So it was. So again, for me, I wouldn't have left it until 5 in the morning. I wouldn't have left there until I solved the problem. I
Yeah.
didn't leave till 2 o'clock anyway. It's not often, you have client meetings that finish at 2 o'clock in the morning, but it was
Yeah.
circumstantial, and sometimes you just got to do what you got to do. And I'm competitive. I won't give in. I won't let the puzzle beat me. I got to beat the
Yeah.
puzzle. But yeah,
Yeah.
I
I
was
remember
going
when I
through.
was
Go on.
Yeah, so I remember when I was trying to come up with a name for Women Move Beyond. Obviously before
Yeah.
I got the name, and it was the same. Like I got a list of so many different words related to exercise, to health, to women, to feminism, to pregnancy, to babies, like loads and loads of words. And I was trying to make my puzzle. I don't know how many names I had. I had a like a little notebook, and I had all the possible different names, and I tried and I tried and I tried, and no one was like, I don't like that one. And I remember one day I was sitting on the sofa, probably had Netflix behind, probably I was watching TV, and be like, okay, I'm just gonna take a look at this kind of damn notebook again and see if I can get my name for my business, because I wanted to be quite inclusive as well, not only for pregnancy. I wanted to be also for women, like, because we are women before we are moms. So I was just reading out all the words, and suddenly it just came into my head. It was like, oh, women move beyond, because obviously I wanted to be something related to women included, something related to fitness, exercise, and healthy habits. That's why it has the move, and beyond, because I know we as human beings, we can always go beyond. We can go beyond our beliefs, beyond of all the
We
things
can
that we think.
push
Yeah,
beyond,
we can
push
push.
beyond where we think is possible
Yeah, yeah,
by keep getting marginal gains. This is where I said with the business, you can only see so far sometimes, and it's only when you're near to how far you are that you then see how far again.
you can. Yeah, yeah. So that's why I wanted. That's why I wanted to have the beyond included, and because I have a tattoo in myself as well. That's quite a big word for me. So it's like that has to be in the name. And then the acronym was perfect because the acronym was WoMB.
Yeah, which is
it's like, well,
sums up female services, but it's good as well because it's WoMB. It does lend yourself. You can move into some different directions with that. It's not restrictive to just like say it was like pregnant women fitness or something. Well, that puts you into that category, and it's difficult for you to move that name beyond that category.
Yeah, and because I didn't want it to be, I didn't want to be only for pregnant women. I knew I wanted to be for postnatal women. And probably when I get old, I probably dedicate it to women in their menopause. So.
Yeah, exactly. Well, that would be an obvious next step to add, wouldn't it? Because my guess is, when women are doing a menopause, my guess is they probably need to adapt their fitness and whatever to suit that situation because they overheat quite quickly, don't they? So they have to do stuff a bit more gently, I would have thought.
Yeah, and also because of all the hormonal withdrawal, we are more prone to have osteoporosis, for example. So obviously, if you stay healthy, if you stay fit, if you have strong muscles and strong bones, you're gonna have less risk of having like bone fractures or to develop osteoporosis.
Yeah.
So yeah.
So does that mean
as you said, like, well, isn't your SMART acronym for happiness? Exercise is, it's good for everyone. So
yes, of course it is. Yeah. And my happiness formula is like a daily ritual basically that I can implement to people that I know if they did it, they'll be happier than they are now if they're not doing it. Yeah, it's a scientific proven process, if you like. Well, the science doesn't prove the process, but I've lived the process and know it works. But science proves each step of the process. Yeah.
Normally what you see in the studies is like the parts are different and how they impact quality of life, of course, but sometimes it's quite hard to see, like I just like that holistic approach.
But it's sort of like obvious. It's the logical next step. If science proves that you're healthier and happier with sleep, if science proves that meditation is good for you, if science proves that exercise, nutrition, and hydration is all good for you, if science proves the releasing of oxytocin in random acts of kindness makes you happy, and if science proves that the release of hormones in target anticipation of target and excitement and hormone release in target achievement, so science proves all of the 5 or 7 elements, because it's a 5-step acronym with a 7 elements in, but if science proves all of those individually, then I've living the routine, and I know it makes you happier. It can't not really, because you get the compound effect of one scientific fact versus another, and basically what the science is if you do all of these things, they all release endorphins in you and make you feel good on their own, but you get the compound effect of them all together every day. So logic tells you that you can only be happier by doing 5 happy things than you would be by doing, say, 4 happy things.
And
that's some of them
are but some of them are already proven by science. So you have half the way is already covered.
For me anyway, I don't need scientific proof. I know it works because it works for me. I know, for example, if people exercise regularly, they're going to feel happier. Because it's not just the happiness of their feeling of the endorphins that are released when they exercise. There's also the happiness of the fact that they're looking sharp and they're feeling better and they're getting more attention, and there's a load of other knock-on effects that science proves.
Yeah, and you realize how many things you're able to do, and you socialize as well. So there's so many aspects in your life that are going to be better just because you exercise. So
yeah, definitely. And it's the same as like with hydration. The science isn't necessarily around what the water does or what the hydrants does. The science is more around what happens if you don't have the hydration. So there's a lot of science, which basically all those things that happen will make you not so happy, because they're all side effects of being dehydrated. Eating more, putting on weight, being moody, there's all sorts of things that, so yeah, I created that during lockdown, and in fact you can use it if you want to, if ever you want to use it with your pregnant ladies and stuff, because I'm 100% certain that if people are doing, a lot of people do these things naturally, but they would usually do, say, 4 or 5 of the 7 things. They might have 60, 70, 80% covered, but most people don't have 100% covered. So it's just about making sure that if they're pretty happy, then they could be a little bit happier by just finishing the 100% up,
I think that, at least the trickiest for me would be the sleeping one.
Yeah, well, that's one of the big ones for me, because I'm high energy and I've been since I was a kid. I used to play a lot of sports, and I've always been 100 miles an hour. I've always valued sleep, and I've always had my 7 to 8 hours every night. Or if I get up at 5 hours because I have to for whatever reason, I'll have a catch up the following night. So we'll have a 9 hours or a 10 hours or something. And then, as long as it balances out, if you only had 5 hours, as long as you get the catch up at some point, then you don't have no long-term effect. Whereas I think that the real negative effect comes from if you just have, say, 5 or 6 hours all the time, then you can just be. People say, "Oh, I survive fine on that," but they can just be just because they think they're surviving fine. They're probably not, and there's probably some effect.
You just carry your lack of sleep and carry it. Like there's no way. It's really, as you said, like it's really hard to get the sleep back. Like
So we covered your what you do and your courses and stuff. How do people get in touch with you if they're interested in connecting with you on socials, or finding your courses and that?
So we are mainly in Facebook and Instagram. We are as well in LinkedIn. And in both in all of them, they can just find us under.
Are you WoMB in all of them?
Women Move Beyond.
Okay, because I thought
I think
WoMB might have been taken.
Yeah, WoMB is in Facebook. If you in the search bar in Facebook, you Google WoMB, that's going to be the first one coming up. I was quite surprised about that, because I thought it was a word that it was already taken.
I would have thought it was taken, myself. But I always, part of actually startup, for me, I offer startup services, and part of startup is looking on Companies House to see if the company already exists, but also searching social media, all of them, to see if the name exists. To me, what you've done, there's nothing wrong with it, but some people do. I like to have consistency all the way through. So ideally, if you can get consistency all the way through, then you can give one consistent message of search for me on any social as WoMB. Whereas otherwise you've got to get into, I'm WoMB on that, and I'm Women Move Beyond on that, and that's not criticism or anything. It's just the fact that in marketing it becomes easier. Sometimes.
Well, actually, because the name actually, if you type Women Move Beyond either in Instagram, Facebook, or LinkedIn, it's us.
It comes up.
But I don't know why in Facebook as well. If you type WoMB, it appears too.
Yeah, but if you type Women Moves Beyond in Facebook, you probably don't come up, do you?
You
do,
yeah.
Okay, that's good. Because what I was going to say then.
You can use Women Move Beyond for those 3, and Twitter as well.
Okay, because what I always say to people, say they have got some different accounts or whatever. Say you're always known as Women Move Beyond, but in one account you can't call it that because it's already gone, and so you put in WoMB, for example. What I would always say is create a very good post with Women Moves Beyond in, and go after that keyword on that post and keep sharing it for a while, and eventually that will come up at the top of the search engines.
Okay.
Because you can optimize, basically a lot of people think about website optimization, SEO, search engine optimization, as getting their website higher up the search engines. But you can actually manipulate search and search engine optimization in any social platform. Yeah, you can manipulate it with your name. You can manipulate it with your biography, your keywords in your biography. Yeah,
Okay.
you can manipulate search engines because they're just a computer algorithm. So you can, if you understand how algorithms work, you can do things to advance how you get seen or how you get found. Plus,
Yep.
all optimization, a big part of it is how, like Google measures how much popularity pages have. So like, for example, if you have a search for Mike Armstrong in Google, I'm the #1 Mike Armstrong. If you have a look on LinkedIn, I'm the #1 Mike Armstrong. Yeah, I never used to be on both, but that's activities I've done on both over time to become the #1. Yeah.
Wow.
Yeah. So when you've got an unusual name, it's actually an advantage from an optimization point of view. You don't
Oh,
need
yeah.
to work on it to become seen because you're just unique. You stand out anyway. Yeah.
Yeah.
So, but actually, so sometimes from a being found point of view, having a unique name is an advantage. But from my point of view, having a repetitive name, or a name that lots of people have got, to me, I see that as an advantage because I had to work hard on becoming the
To be
#1
seen.
one. So
Yeah.
therefore, I've actually had to learn a new set of skills that I wouldn't have had to learn if I had a very unique standalone name. Yeah. So it depends
Yeah.
how you look at things. One's got an advantage or the other's got an advantage, depending on which advantage you want to see.
Yeah, it's funny because it's something when now that you're saying it, it's like, okay, it's quite obvious, but no one tells you that
No,
when you're
no.
starting. And it's like, yes, of course. Well, it's what we talk about the noise and being the first one on being seen. And yeah, when you were talking about SEO, I was thinking, oh well, we haven't launched the landing page of the service yet. It's still we're still finishing it. So I thought,
Yeah,
oh, SEO doesn't, well, it's just something I don't have to deal with yet. But then
yeah.
you mentioned about social media, and of course it's like, yeah.
Yeah, definitely. But also, the quicker you put something into the search engines live, the better. So what I always say to people when they're working on a website is, if they can, or if they've got a web designer or whatever, whack one page up on your domain. Yeah. If you put like a landing page on saying website coming soon, yeah. If you're interested in launch information about the business when the website goes live, stick your email address in here, then you're actually collecting email addresses ready for the launch, and you're getting traffic going to that domain name, which means, say for example, your website takes a month or 2 or 3 months to be built, you've actually got 3 months head start because you put a one-page landing page on than what you would do by putting the website live in 3 months' time.
Yeah.
And it often takes about 3 months for a website to get into the search engines anyway when it's new.
Okay. So
So if you like,
so when you do it, yeah.
you got a 3 month head start, haven't you? By doing it at the beginning rather than doing it at the end. Yeah.
Yeah.
These are all little things nobody teaches anybody. People don't know.
Yeah.
So what happens is, you go live with your website, you got 3 months before it kicks in, which if you'd have known what I know, you'd have done it 3 months ago and you'd have been,
Before, yeah.
you're 3 months ahead of the curve. And then most websites, for example, they get a web designer to do it, and the web designer doesn't really understand SEO. They all say they understand SEO, but there's a difference between understanding what it is and actually understanding how to make it work.
Yeah,
Yeah.
because like funny enough, like we had a previous landing page, but now, well, we closed it and we have like the coming soon page,
Yeah.
and we were not sure because obviously the first one that we launched months ago, it's womenmovebeyond.com.
Yeah.
And then now that we are preparing the new landing page, it's like, should we keep the same name or not? Should we just do something different or do like a slash landing page or something? It was
Yeah.
like, no, just keep it the same. But we did it in an intuitive way. Like, of course, we didn't know about this.
Yeah, yeah, yeah.
But yeah, we kind of did it okay.
But there's a lot of businesses, right, who don't have SEO, search engine optimization, on their website. And what happens is their website goes live. In 2 years' time, they realize they're not getting many leads from their website, and they're like, oh, I should get an SEO person in. So that's like 2 years later, they get an SEO person in. Whereas actually, if you just get SEO done on your website when you're built, you're 2 years ahead of the game. Yeah, and this is why people don't know what they don't know. And I always try and say, well, this is why it's good to have a mentor, to get other people involved, because they can save you pain, because they may have had the pain themselves, and they know how to get you to avoid the pain. Yeah. Some pain is good because it makes you really learn and understand, but other pain, you don't need it. It's just annoying pain. It's just putting you behind, actually just bypassing the pain and moving on and having a better business is just better, you know?
Yeah, because it's going to give you a headache you don't need. Yeah,
it's just a headache you don't need sometimes. So that's why, you know, when I advise people about having a new website, because I do website design and stuff as well, but I advise lots of other people to use other people as well, because I don't always, you know, it's not my core business is building websites. I just can build them. But, you know, my core business is getting the marketing of the website, really, the digital marketing, the social media, the SEO, all that sort of thing. But what I always advise people when you're having a website is just ask the person who's building it, do they really know about SEO? And are they going to help you work with them to make sure the content is good keyword content? That means the search engine is going to be able to find it, rather than just generic content that hasn't got any of the SEO principles behind it in its display on your website. And therefore, the search engine is never going to find it, and you're never going to rank. Because, you know, to me, a website is a functioning part of the business that should be generating new leads. And if it's not, you know, a lot of people use their website as a place where, when they're doing stuff in the real world, they can direct people to. But that is, so the website is like a part of your sales process. But really what it should be is part of your sales process, helping you close business, but also part of your lead generation process, helping you find business. You know? So so a lot of people, like when people tell me in that 2 years later stage, oh, I need some SEO, I'm not getting any leads. They say, have a look at my website, tell me what's wrong with it. I go, let me have a look at my crystal ball. I don't need to have a look at the website. I know what's wrong with it. Yeah, because it's the same thing's wrong with it every time. You know, it hasn't got the right keywords on it. You know, maybe the content is in like abbreviation or industry speak rather than layman's terms. Yeah. Maybe you've got all your products or all your services on one page rather than a dedicated page for each one. Yeah, all things like that, you know. So the number of pages are small. There's no video on the home page to engage people and get to spend more time. There's no links through the pages to get people to go through a journey rather than randomly go where they got. You know, the mistakes are the same. You know, every website that asks you to have a look at it, I can spend ages looking at it, or I can just tell you what the problems are. You know, because you know, I know what they'll be. That's the thing. And so when people are out there getting websites built, they're not thinking about all the problems and how to avoid them. They're just having the website built. But if they did think about all the problems and how to avoid them, then when the website's built, they haven't got to get it redone again in a couple of years' time, when they realised all the errors that they could have sorted.
Yeah.
And that is the ultimately the benefit of having hindsight, or, you know, a lot of people with experience, they don't know, they're no better than you. They're just more further advanced in the process.
They know what they do because, well, obviously because of their experience and trying.
Exactly. Once you've been through it, you know, once somebody's got to that 2 year stage and then actually had all of those errors corrected, they can tell anyone else about those errors. But until you've got to that 2 year phase and then gone through the process, you don't know about those errors.
Yeah.
You know what I mean? So it is as simple as that. And that's all, you know, that's why, to me, I never think of people as amazing or fantastic or they're awesome. I think of them as like, or they got a lot of good experience, which is what they got. But they're not special. Nobody's special. Even the best people on the planet, or whatever they do, all they become good at. Some people are naturally gifted, but most people become good by being experienced and practiced and just putting the time in.
Yeah.
So there's no need to look at people and go, wow, you know what I mean? Wow, you're like something special. No, you know, you're just somebody who's the people I listen to on the planet at the moment are the best at what I want to become great at. Listen to the best, you're going to become the best, yeah? But they're the people who are like 10, 20 years older than me because they're talking about the last 20 years, which is what I'm going into, you know? You don't want to speak to somebody, say if you're in your 20s, you listen to somebody in their 70s, they'll probably be talking about stuff that's too far ahead of you, you know? So the gap's too big. So it's who are, you know, the next step or two above me that I can learn from and implement so that, you know, I can benefit from their 20 years experience for the next 20 years.
Yeah.
Yeah. So that's how I look at it. But I'm conscious of time now. I'm conscious that getting on into the evening. But I decided to have a networking chat, but also just I can help you out because I know you're new to business and obviously new to marketing. And so I just thought, well, you know, it's an opportunity
learning loads.
It was an opportunity for me to share plenty of information with you, and I know you're quite keen on learning some of this stuff, and it's a good way for me to put that content out on my platform as well for other people to benefit from.
Yeah, and I appreciate it a lot, and I'm sure lots of people that listen to you are going to appreciate that as well, especially people starting as me. Because there's so many things we don't know, and when you think about starting your business, I think with the main things for us is like, okay, do I have everything legally covered? I'm going to be like compliant with any legal aspects, and that's kind of the first things I think for everyone. But then there's loads of things. There's how to put ourselves out there, how to be seen, how to make internet work in our convenience, not against us. That we don't really know those things, and there are things that we really don't think about because no one tells you.
No, and there used to be a better startup infrastructure in the UK back probably about 10 years ago, for about maybe 10, 20 years before that. There used to be I can't think what they call business links and various different things run by councils or governments and chambers of commerce and stuff that would help startups in that startup process and that startup phase. But I think after the global credit crunch, probably 2008, a lot of them went.
But well, there's still, or at least in Wales, you have Business Wales.
Yes, we have Business Wales, and
some
people.
Yeah, but well, we know it's a limited service. So
yeah, and some people go to them, some people don't, and some people know about it, some people don't. But there's not really a commercial aspect to that. So that's one of the reasons I think why I put so much startup entrepreneurship content out there, because you know there's a gap in the market because I don't think it's been as fulfilled as it used to be. And I think there are so many entrepreneurs and business people starting out now, and there is a lack of places they can go to get the information they need to avoid the pain points. So there's a lot of people going through the pain points that they could have avoided if there was just that structure and network to educate and get people to avoid the pitfalls. You know, there's so many people, for example, who rush into a name and they rush into a brand, and then 3, 4, 5, 10 years down the line, they've got to change it all because they rushed into it, like, you know. And so then they've got to replace all their content, and you know, it could be a nightmare. New webs, you know, all sorts of reasons. There are people, for example, they create a business and they call it after their town, and then after a while they run out of customers in their town and they want to do a wider area. And they're like, oh, I'm now called, you know, Pizza Delivery Cardiff. Don't know why that comes to my head. I never worked for a pizza delivery company forever. I must be getting hungry. But then they're selling to Newport.
Yeah.
So they didn't think big enough at the start, did they? Because you know, it's like, well, pizza delivery Cardiff doesn't sound so good in Newport.
Yeah, no.
You know, And that's it. So if they just thought, if they thought, actually, I'm going to expand, it's like, well, where might you expand? If you're going to expand UK, well, call yourself Pizza Delivery UK. If you're going to expand to just a few more places in Wales, call yourself Pizza Delivery South Wales. You know what I mean? It's just about thinking about that process and what are you ultimately trying to do?
Yeah, it's all without the planning. The planning. It's
all down to the
key.
planning, right? You know, obviously you being a PhD student, you probably do more planning than the average person. There's a lot of people who go into business, they do no planning.
Yeah, well, normally in research you have to plan like 3-5 years ahead. So yeah.
Well, I always say to people they should have a 5-year plan, at least a 5-year plan, if not more. But they should at least they should know what they're doing for the next 5 years.
Yeah.
But there we are. Okay. Well, yes. Thanks for coming on the podcast.
Well, thank you. Thank you for having me. I had a really good time, and yeah, I felt really comfortable.
Yeah. There we are. Well, that's what happens when you get into a good conversation and you're chatting. The sort of nervousness, you didn't come across as nervous at all. So I know you was nervous at the beginning, but you eased into it quite quickly. And the thing is with video content, you can actually record it yourself on Zoom. So you can just have a conversation on there yourself. So actually, if you get comfortable with talking to the camera on Zoom, it's a great part of your marketing strategy, because once you create a good video and you explain to people, this is where I did my video for my website. To actually just record 2 minutes of you talking about your business and how you can help people and where they can find the information, put that on your website, and all of a sudden you've got an introduction video to your website where they can, people by people, they can get a bit about you and your personality and why you're doing things, your mission, your vision, your values, and that sort of thing.
Yeah.
And they'll engage with you then, And all of a sudden you've got a bit longer time spent on the site, and it's actually converting people into wanting to do business with you, And then also, if you do similar sort of videos, promotional adverts, that sort of thing, even like I've got an image in my background, you can upload images into Zoom, you can put your logo in the background and do a video recording, what your courses are, how much they cost, where they can buy them, etc. Once you put that video out on YouTube and you keyword market it well, etc., that's like a salesperson working for you 365 days a year, 24 hours a day, 7 days a week. It's just always there on YouTube. And if you pick a good keyword market and it's a popular search for phrase, you can get thousands of views just for spending 10 minutes of your time recording a video.
Yeah.
So that's always, a lot of business people I speak to, because I deal with a lot of older people as well, they would never think about putting themselves on a video because they're not from that generation. But people younger than me, you're definitely a lot younger than me. If I can do it, you can do it, because
Yeah. I think I don't mind to be in front of a camera. And well, I used to play theater back in Spain, so I don't mind to kind of, in that way, I don't mind to put myself out there. But well, I think when you're playing a character, obviously it's a lot easier than when you're playing yourself. But
well, you're not playing yourself. You're playing.
No. This is me. No, I'm not playing.
You're playing the top awesome entrepreneur that you could be. That's your character. Now be that person on the camera and get it done.
Yeah.
That's the character you're playing. I play that character all the time. I gotta play the character that is the top most awesome entrepreneur that I can be. That's my character. And if you play it long enough, you become your character.
Yeah.
So that's why I'm an awesome entrepreneur, because I've been playing the character for a long time.
Yeah, and well, Nadia, you are. Yeah, that's it.
That's how it is. Once it's a bit like these soap stars. Once they've been playing, what's his name, Ken Barlow. He's been Ken Barlow for 30 years on Coronation Street. You know what I mean?
Yeah.
I'm pretty sure he talks and walks and feels like Ken Barlow, because he's played him so long that he probably sometimes feels more like Ken than he does William Roach, the guy who plays him.
Yeah, at the end, it just feels real. Yeah.
Yeah, it just morphs into each other over time, doesn't it?
Yeah.
You can't pretend to be someone else for 30 years. You'll just end up being that person.
Oh, no, yeah, there's no way. Yeah.
It's one of those things. But it's been a pleasure anyway having you on. I've loved the conversation, and just best of luck with your business. And if there's anything else I can do to help you, including tag me in when you do your launch and all of that, and I can share that to my audience.
Yeah. Okay. Yeah. I'll take
Anything I can do
that.
to help you, and obviously I'll send you the links to the video as well when I got them if you want. Yeah.
Yeah. Yes, please. Yeah, I'll share that too. Yeah. Of course.
Brilliant. Okay. You have a good
Well,
evening then. Okay.
thank you so much, Mike. You too. Bye-bye.
All the best. Bye-bye. Bye.
Bye.
And there's nothing else left for me to say now other than have a great day. I know I will. And thanks very much for listening. Cheers. Bye-bye.